The League of the Genuine is back. This is a conversation about the important but often ignored subject of counterfeits. We continue our discussion as always with a special guest. The special guest will be sharing with us their perspectives, their understanding of this subject. Join me in welcoming Sheila Ampiri Wamafa. Sheila is a master's student all the way from Africa University in Mutare, Zimbabwe. She is visiting Uganda. She will tell us if she's a Ugandan, but she's visiting Uganda to do research for her master's program. Sheila, you are welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, audience, and it's a pleasure being here.
Sheila, you came here, you did write to me last year asking to interview me for your master's in intellectual property study that you are doing.
Yes.
Why did you come to the Anti-Counterfeit Network?
Back at school, Africa University, a very good international university in Zimbabwe. That was one question that was posed. Why are you including an agency that is not a manufacturing company, neither is it a regulator? And I put it to them that this agency has been not only deliberate, but it has put up a strong front against campaign dealing with issues of counterfeits. And I felt that with the depth of studies, of interviews they have, and networkings they have had with a different, from UMA, all these other people who have really sat almost in the same seat, I felt that I would love to pick from those brains, and I was confident that this was the right entity to participate in my study.
So that's a vote of confidence.
An extreme
We
one.
need to pat ourselves on the back. But
Yes.
Sheila, you are Ugandan who went to do your master's in Zimbabwe. Your master's is about, you said, intellectual property.
Yes, it is.
And your thesis, I think your study that you're doing is about what?
My study is on trademark enforcement in the manufacturing industry in Kampala, Uganda.
Trademark.
Yes.
Why did you
trademark.
choose manufacturing? Yet counterfeits are everywhere.
With counterfeits, we appreciate different studies or reports have indicated that some counterfeits are actually imported into the country. But however, there are also studies that show that there are counterfeits that are manufactured within the country. But more so, I felt it prudent that manufacturing companies, especially the ones in Uganda, Kampala, they have to take the initiative, one, to know the rights they have. If they have really put up so much investment in coming up with a brand, and even if they haven't yet protected it, but to go ahead and protect it, and it doesn't just stop at registration, but to go ahead and make sure that this brand or trademark or trade dress, whatever it is not being infringed upon or counterfeited. So they have a role in enforcement. And I felt that was lacking. I felt companies, manufacturing companies, just were crying that they are counterfeits, but leaving it all to other stakeholders to do the work. But it starts with them working together with the other
So
regulators.
you picked out the brand for your study, the brands, the manufacturers as a big catchment area for the
Yes.
counterfeits, because there are many in trade.
Yes, I did.
But Sheila, you choose to come and do your research in Kampala, Uganda,
Yes.
and yet you are studying at the Africa University in Zimbabwe. Do we take it that there are no counterfeits in Zimbabwe? That's why you left your area of study, where you're studying from, and you came to Uganda?
I felt it comfortable to carry out a study from my home area. I'm Ugandan. So that was also an opportunity to be
For you
home.
to come home and see your family.
Exactly, yeah. Come home, see my family. And also to, I want my study to have an impact on my surrounding, on my community, because I feel I can relate more with things that happen back here at home than in
But does
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe have a counterfeit problem?
Not only Zimbabwe,
But Zimbabwe itself. I've not been to Zimbabwe. I always fly over it when I'm going to South Africa. But is there a counterfeit problem as well?
Yes, during my desk reviews, of course, having looked at other countries, both international and within the region, the issue of counterfeit is global. It's getting bad, it's getting out of hand. So yes, Zimbabwe is also affected by this.
Even in Mutare, where this university is, Mutare is a small city, less than 300,000 people. Here, Kampala, during the day, we have a population of 3-4 million, and at night 1.5. So we are much bigger than Mutare.
Yes.
So it might be understandable to have a problem here. But Mutare, 300 people, they can reach an understanding not to consume counterfeits. There's also counterfeit there.
Yes, for them, their main problem is the importation bit of it. So they say lots of fake products are imported within the country, or what is known as counterfeits. Zimbabwe, Mutare has the same issue, but of course, for Kampala being a city, very highly populated, with so many SMEs coming up.
Uganda has a lot of universities, more than 60 of them, even more than Zimbabwe. You couldn't find a place there to study, seeing as your family is here. What was so special with the Africa University?
I have to pride. I have a legal background, and I had my first degree from Makerere University. So I've had the taste of our education system. It's good. I picked some interest in intellectual property, and actually went ahead, looked for scholarships. So I won a scholarship that was WIPO sponsored. Yeah, so that's how I managed to go and study at Africa University, because it's a special kind of degree that is tailored for, which is surprising. It doesn't only cover the legal practitioners. In our class,
you have non-lawyers.
Yeah, we had engineers.
Doing this masters.
Exactly. Doctors. So it's very specialized. It's hands-on. Yeah. So I felt like I had the best deal.
We have no reason, Sheila, to doubt that you're having a good study and a good degree is going to come out of there.
Thank you.
But can you tell us whether this degree will help in this space where we have a lot of counterfeits? How are you planning to use your masters to push back counterfeits in Africa, in Uganda, in Zimbabwe? Is this degree going to help us?
Most definitely. Initially, when I went there, I won't lie about this. I went there for personal reasons, to enrich myself, to further my career and everything.
Personal growth.
Yes. However, during the course of the study, I just like how we interacted with our tutors. They have some mindset change about the program. You leave, for me, who is not a scientist, I left an innovator. I feel like I can go out there and do something, a passion I have. Maybe I identify some challenge. If I'm passionate about it, I feel actually I can do it. So this study, the masters, I feel it's going to do two things for me. One, in the course of conducting my study on trademark enforcement, I feel I have a voice. Who knew that I would be in this seat?
The whole world is listening to you.
You can imagine. So already that is a big step forward. So I feel like my network has grown, and I can share all this knowledge I've amassed, but more so on the innovative bit of it. Maybe that's the passion. I'm passionate about trade. I'm passionate about it's trade-related businesses, manufacturing, so and teaching. I think teaching is like my first love. Then I go to trade. So the two combined, I feel this master's has strengthened me to identify my passion, which is teaching/advocacy, but more so to also be an innovator, to go ahead and make a difference. at least in my community.
Being a woman, women are in the center of counterfeits in Africa.
Yeah.
Because they are, for example, in the households, a lot of the shopping is done by the women. So it is you women who go to the markets and bargain and bargain and bargain and buy those counterfeits, and you bring them home.
Yes.
How is your masters going to improve, enhance the role of women in the fight against counterfeits?
This, good enough, Africa University is structured in a way that it was like Africa in one place. The name speaks it for it all.
I saw it has a Pan-Africanist something, then it has Methodist.
Yes,
I think it's supported by the Methodist Church from the USA.
Yes, it is.
We don't have so many Methodists in Africa, do we? Are you a Methodist yourself?
No, I'm Anglican, Christian.
Okay, but it's open to all.
Yes, it's open to all. So the networking at Africa University was extremely great and wonderful. Right now, I can make connections in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Egypt, South Africa, Zimbabwe itself. So the networking was so good. And with that, I've also aligned myself to students or colleagues from previous cohorts who are Ugandans, who felt like, okay, we had this masters, maybe we didn't do much with it. We felt like, oh, IP, people don't know about it in the country. But yeah, we have come together. We are planning to do something. Actually, one of my colleagues, it's more on women-related issues. For some reason, women have been affected when it comes to cosmetics. So we feel like we will empower them, educate them, more or less to be like a platform to connect them to relevant stakeholders in terms of the help they need.
So you're going to do more of advocacy, because you see, this is a platform that is trying to promote genuine and fight counterfeit.
Yes.
But the African woman, I think, more than the man, has a problem with their identity. They are trying to be what they are not, change their color, I don't know, put what in the head and feet, extend the nails. For you, you don't extend your nails.
No.
So how can we use intellectual property to promote African beauty, original African beauty, especially to our women?
Our women, yes. So with this, of course, I'll have to deviate a bit from trademarks or counterfeits for that matter, but it can come in along the way. But when it comes to identity issues, culture issues, that's why I love intellectual property a lot. It's cross-cutting. So we have something called traditional knowledge, which everyone, okay, for some reason, people shun it. People don't want to talk about it.
That is backward.
Exactly. But the more, as Africans, we embrace it. Yeah?
At your university, you embrace it. African knowledge, African culture, African art, African way of doing things.
Yes, they do. We do generally. So that's one way to bring the good in the traditional knowledge. And the best way is to see how you commercialize whatever you do. Because the problem with Africa has been, let it be inventors, let it be writers, authors, let it be business, businesses. It's the commercialization that has become a problem. So once you commercialize, then now the issue of enforcement comes in, because you have to know you register the right, you register the IP right. It could be a trademark, it could be a patent, a copyright. TK, which is traditional knowledge. Then how would you want to reap from that? You're not just going to register it, and no, you to also work around, you commercialize it. Then how are you going to protect it? Now enforcement comes in to make sure that you enjoy the exclusive rights, you enjoy the benefits. It's not infringed upon, it's not watered down for trademarks. It doesn't become generic, like it doesn't lose its identity. Because I won't mention, but there are some brands, if you're mentioning toothpaste, you won't say the word toothpaste. You say
Colgate.
Get me Colgate. Now that is a little bit dangerous, because it's losing its identity.
It has become generic.
It has become
Whenever
generic.
I want to brush, you say, get me Colgate.
Yes.
Because we grew up using Colgate.
Yes.
But what is that in trademarking? What is that called? Where you lose face, the mark loses its distinctiveness. And it's now every toothpaste is a Colgate.
Generally, they say it has become generic. Some companies, international companies, have faced a similar challenge. But they work around, you rebrand. So you really have to keep on your toes.
So you even benefit because it's top of the mind awareness. Everybody knows your brand. So everybody looks out for it. So can you increase the access to the market and reap the benefit out of it? I think it has more advantages than disadvantages. For your brand to be so popular
true.
that everybody thinks that brand name represents the particular product. Sheila, we need to take a break. When we return, we're going to talk about understanding this trademark thing. It's a very mysterious thing to many people, but we have here Sheila, a master's student from the Africa University in Mutare, Zimbabwe. She will be coming back to explain to us what this thing called trademarks means. If you are new here, this is the League of the Genuine Conversations, a discussion that we have about the important but often ignored subject of counterfeits. You're joining us right in the middle of a conversation with Sheila Ampiri Rwamafa. She's a master's student from Africa University in Mutare, Harare. Sheila, one of the biggest exports, I don't know whether it's also intellectual property or a trademark, from Zimbabwe are the jokes by the former president, Robert Mugabe. There's one joke I saw. He said, if you wear clothes made of cassava leaves, don't be walking around with a goat. Two things there. Are these jokes true? Did Mugabe say those things? Or this is part of the fakeness online?
I also equally find them funny, something to pass time when I'm exhausted. So I really wouldn't know. But
did he say them?
Back in Zimbabwe, like, yeah, of course we would show our colleagues who are from Zim, and they would laugh about it. So of course it's more or less fake news. But for some, he must have mentioned, because they said he was quite vocal and
humorous and
yeah,
very witty guy.
Can imagine.
So can somebody claim that is intellectual property, or can his family claim those jokes and protect them and squeeze juice out of them and exploit them? Can that be trademarked? Can that be copyrighted? You're the expert here in intellectual property. Where do these things fall? Is that property?
If actually they were his own creation, and the fact that they go with his image, of course there is something called image rights under copyrights. But however, there are exceptions to public figures. So since he was a president of a country, most definitely his image would be all over the media. So he might be an exception. But if actually those are his creations, yeah, copyright also has its detail. The one who puts it down in writing,
puts it in a fixed form, designs it in a certain way.
So yeah, all those things which people have to prove, then it will trickle down to who the author is and who has the copyright. So yeah, on that part,
maybe when you go back to Africa University, you can pose it to your lecturers and say, where does this fall? But the more serious issue that we have just been talking about in passing there is the online medium.
Yes.
We're saying these jokes are online and they could be fake. We have a lot of counterfeits pervading the internet space through the e-commerce channels, through the faceless vendors, but we are facilitated to make payment. You order for goods, good A, good B comes, you have no redress. What is the Africa University doing about the internet as the source of a counterfeit culture? What are they teaching you there? What are you saying about this?
This is a very serious issue. The e-commerce, all the counterfeit that happens along e-commerce, of course, like I had earlier mentioned, counterfeit has become a global challenge. So one of the remedies or redresses that are also being entertained on the international scene, it's something of the utilizing the blockchain technology. I don't know how, in Uganda, I don't know whether we...
Blockchain came to fight counterfeits?
Yes, because it helps in tracking of the original owner. There was a way
the original owner of the funds, the original supplier of the goods.
Because it's about, it's decentralized. Yeah? So, it's an IA that is just picking data from all these different places, and it codes them in a form of a block. So I hear out there they are using it already for purposes mainly in copyrights, but they say also in trademarks for counterfeits. It's something that they really want to put across, because it helps in tracking of like wherever that product, like let me say if someone has a consignment of tires, maybe they're importing them from Canada or whichever country, so they put it in the system. Yeah? Now, wherever those tires go, by the time the final person purchases them, then you will know that actually this is the genuine tire. Like,
so you're saying we should embrace blockchain as a way to fight
it's the way to go.
illicit supplies?
Yes, especially for e-commerce, but I'm sure in the next future, for Africa, I don't know where we are at, but on the international scene, it's a big discussion, and yeah, and it's been embraced at that level.
So should we reduce our presence on the internet in order to avoid counterfeits, or should we continue our presence there? And if we do, how do we safeguard ourselves? Because there is no single platform, call it Amazon, call it eBay, call it Alibaba, which is counterfeit proof. Not a single one of them. And yet they have got the resources, they have the machinery, they have failed to stop it.
Yes, yeah, that they agree they have failed. The World Intellectual Property Organization, commonly known as WIPO, has come up with a number of initiatives. Like they have an arbitration center. There's one that also deals with issues of domain names.
What are domain names? Just explain to me.
Yeah, domain names, let me just give an example. It's like how you can say Sheila at africau.edu, so that that last edu
The domain name.
Yes.
So you think that can also help us to check the counterfeits online?
Now what is happening actually is people are facing a challenge where some domain, because the linkage between use of domain names and trademarks has not yet been synchronized, where someone can get someone's trademark and use it as a domain name. So you say sheila.nike.org.
Nike is a word mark, a trademark.
A trademark, yes.
And then you take it.
Yes,
But
yeah.
it won't be passed.
Not even Sheila have used the bad example, but there's a way where it can be so confusingly similar to someone's trademark that they register it. Because the registration of domain names has not yet, is on a different platform altogether. So one of the things WIPO is trying to do is sensitization, educating. They have that arbitration center, but also to empower our national IP officers in the different countries. And they're taking it also on a wider scale to empower entities that are in this fight with them. Yeah, thanks.
We want to suggest to the Africa University through you that counterfeits has several drivers. For us on this platform, we think that those drivers can be aggregated under the acronym Dankani, which I was talking to you
Okay.
about before the interview.
Mm.
As a master's student in intellectual property, do you identify with those drivers? Do you think depreciation, affordability, concealed danger, negligence, do you think these are strong drivers for counterfeits?
Dankani is a very good, I don't even know how you people sat and compile this acronym to identify all the key elements, because these are key factors that lead to what you could say lack of or insufficient enforcement. Because even if you want to enforce trademarks to eliminate counterfeits, but the consumers themselves cannot differentiate what a counterfeit is. So, like, you feel like there is some gap between the enforcers, the consumer. So all those different elements, differentiation, affordability.
Talk about affordability. Poverty is rife in Africa. We read reports about hyperinflation in Zimbabwe. I don't know, you need so much money to buy a loaf of bread. We don't know whether it's true or not. Is poverty an excuse for Africans not to be mindful of intellectual property? Can we say that until we become middle income status or first world, we should sink in counterfeits?
No. With that, of course, most definitely we should not embrace counterfeits just because we are a least developed country, still having economic challenges. I believe with what we had discussed earlier with Dankani, when you combine all these elements of saying, yes, we appreciate there is, maybe people can't afford these genuine products, but are they aware of the danger that comes with the counterfeit? If they were aware, maybe then they would feel like, no, let me pass. I don't want this product. But this takes us back to ignorance. People are not ignorance on the product, on the effects that product would have, on the effects of, let me say, you might find women who are purchasing counterfeits of cosmetics. The husband is working in a company that manufactures cosmetics. In a way, it's like you're removing money from where your husband is working, at the same time when you are endangering your health. So it's just lack of that appreciation of intellectual property, the benefit that comes with it. That is where now manufacturers come in, or traders or innovators. But then for the consumers, it's not knowing the danger that is associated with counterfeits, however cheap it can be. Yeah? You might want to buy a phone that is very cheap, but once it explodes, really, at the end of the day, you have lost everything.
Where do you think, since your research is in respect of manufacturing, what do you think applies most to the manufacturing sector as a driver for counterfeiting? Among those, what is playing out to you as something that is inhibiting the proper role of the manufacturers in fighting counterfeit?
The manufacturers, I would look at them in two separate, they are the genuine manufacturers, the ones who are working hard, building a brand, coming up with their
paying their taxes, model employers.
Exactly, everything. So with those ones, it's just they are unfortunate, but however, I will say the ineffective cooperation would come in, because you gave a very good example of saying, if there is surveillance exercise that is going to happen on spare parts, why wouldn't all the manufacturing companies that manufacture spare parts or these cars come together and I don't know, maybe form an association or
and
come
do the
up
operation together so that the cost even goes lower?
Exactly.
But you have one brand going to find a fake spare part here, finds other fakes of other brands, leaves them. The guy will also spend another amount of money to go to the same place too. So ineffective cooperation is a key highlight of what brands are not doing.
I believe so. I believe so. And then also maybe going an extra mile. Of course, I know by the time they come up with a brand and all these things, an extra mile to differentiate their products, to literally stand out. That is where we're talking of now generic. When a mark becomes generic, it can be good because it's popular, but it can also be susceptible to counterfeits. Because now everyone wants to know which Colgate is which, like it's just that. Eh? So you have to always be on the lookout to make sure that through advertising, it will have to be continuous. Eh?
Continuous, but don't you think also the brands, the way they advertise, they're just promoting consumerism? Are they advertising to keep us safe, to keep us away? Are they advertising to promote the genuine as opposed to the fake? Are we getting enough information, product information in these adverts?
I think that is also lacking. I feel the manufacturing industries have to, in advertising, of course, everyone is trying to promote their brand, but go ahead and give us the specifics. Usually these international brands, you'll find so many writings on their bottles. So if you're one consumer who is fortunate enough maybe to always be on the lookout or to tell a difference, you can easily come across counterfeits. Because some people just feel like, something will miss out. Like you find like something is lacking in the information offered. So yes, I believe manufacturing companies should go ahead and at least find more or less like consumer protection, like go ahead to avail more information on whatever they are producing, especially in regards to protecting their brand, but also protecting the consumer.
And informing the consumer.
Yes.
As we close this segment, Zimbabwe is the headquarters of, is it ARIPO?
Yes, ARIPO.
ARIPO standing for?
African Regional Intellectual Property Office.
So that is the headquarters of IP in Africa.
Yes.
That's where the registration.
Yes.
I can do a registration there for the whole of Africa. Does ARIPO have any outreach programs for us Africans to sensitize us more on this, so it is comfortable to collect the dollars to register the trademarks? And any outreach program?
Yes, they also have their programs. Of course, they work hand in hand with national IP offices. And just to put it across, it's only for English-speaking countries. I think by now, just 2 that speak Portuguese. It's like that, the middleman between WIPO and the States for English-speaking countries. Because intellectual property rights are territorial in nature. So as a country, our regulators, the players like yourselves, ACN, you have to go, and also the manufacturers or other people who want IP assets, they have to work hand in hand. One to be more knowledgeable about the benefits of IP. I feel like maybe that's what's lacking, because people are innovative, people are inventive.
But they don't know how to protect the innovations.
Yes, they feel like maybe it's a long process. We're still looking at, I feel like Uganda or us Africans, we are not yet appreciating a knowledge-based economy. We still want tangible things.
They want to own an arcade.
Exactly, yes.
Own a tractor.
Yeah, but now in these other developed countries, you find someone, they have built a brand, but that brand can act as collateral. It can do so much for them. It's now like these big brands, McDonald's, Adidas, Nike, they use just that brand to make more money.
To register it on paper. Sheila, we need to take a break. When we return,
Yes.
we should be talking about, you're going to explain to us trademark in the last segment, how it is registered, why it is registered, and we shall use a case study of the Adidas case that was recently put up online. We're back with the last segment of the League of the Genuine Conversations. If you're new here, again, this is the only show on the planet where we discuss matters to do with counterfeits. I have a brand new pair of shoes here. and our guest Sheila, a master's student from Africa University, Mutare, Zimbabwe, is going to help us understand this trademark thing, because to many people it is mysterious. Sheila, this is Adidas. Maybe I'll give you one shoe.
Yes.
I know there is a case Adidas has just lost against a fashion house in respect of the stripes.
Okay.
Just these stripes here. So you're going to help us to understand what the trademark is here. What are the aspects of the trademark present on this shoe? We are your students now.
Okay.
Where is the trademark? And you can show the camera.
Okay, yes, so thank you. That's a very good question, the fact that I have something to illustrate with. So generally, what is a trademark? Under our Ugandan law, the Trademark Act of 2010, it defines trademarks as any sign or mark that is capable of distinguishing a product or service from one undertaking to another.
So where is the trademark?
Yeah, so a trademark could be a name. So the name here we have Adidas. So that could also be registered as a trademark. It could be a logo.
Before you leave, I can see the words Adidas.
Yes.
Then I can see some 3 stripes up there.
Yes.
The long one, the middle one, So which one is the trademark? All of this?
It's someone's choice, provided it passes the test of being where it can distinguish goods and services. Yes.
Okay. So this is a word mark. The words, that's a word mark.
Yeah, so this is a word mark. So these
and then these are stripes, that's like a logo.
Yeah, this could be this is the logo, which, and you can see the stripes here are kind of, I think these are more known to people, this with the word. Stripes. Yeah, so Adidas has it's a well-known mark. It's really recognized internationally.
Since the 1940s or 50s.
Yes. You know, a trademark could even be the color. You can have a color mark, though those are non-traditional trademarks. There are those traditional ones of words, numbers, numerals.
What about the shape?
So for the shape, yes, actually, because also those are non-traditional. The shape, the one example people have a lot is for the Coca-Cola bottle. They call it the 3-dimension shape. So yeah, that one they registered this as a trademark, though ideally it can also be registered as an industrial design.
What about the shoelaces? Is this part of the trademark also?
For Adidas right now, I don't think
because
so.
I have seen the Adidas mark includes shoelaces also.
Yes, but like if they have specific color, some of these things can also be industrial designs. One product can have like 7 IP assets. Trademark, the shoe itself could be industrial design. The technology that makes the shoe comfortable, that could be a patent. Yeah? So
even this is a copyright also.
A combination of all of them.
All rights.
Yes, of all the rights. So you just find one product, but they have really heavily invested in it.
One of the things that intrigues many people, of course, as an IP practitioner, I might know it, but the tendency for a brand, a well-known sports brand like Adidas, to also have a trademark registration, like in the case of Uganda, in class, I think class 3, they have also registered cosmetic brands under the name Adidas and fragrances, and yet we know them under, I think, class 35, which is the sports, you know. Can you comment on the importance of this classification? Why is classification important?
To my simple understanding of classification of goods when it comes to trademarks, I believe its main purpose is to ease registration processes for purposes of
identification.
Yes, of identification of products and services, and also in terms of infringement when it
But
comes to the
doesn't it
register.
cause confusion? Because anybody looking at this program now, they will immediately identify this as a sports brand
Okay.
or trademark. Isn't it confusing when you have Adidas sunglasses, because they also do sunglasses? In the trademark laws and registrations, aren't you strict to say, look, if you're a cement brand, be a cement brand? Don't you think maybe the trademark law needs to, I don't know, pull us back a bit and say, stay in your line?
I would look at it as an incentive to motivate industrial growth, to motivate
innovation.
an innovation, in the sense that, one, when it comes to the cost of registration, this person has done their groundwork, their research, they know their projections. So when it comes at the point of registration, you can register your mark, your logo, your name.
And include all products under the sun.
You just know where you'll be going years to come. So you register in different classes, provided it meets the criteria of being distinctive and it's
And the product
non-deceptive.
is safe. And
Yes.
so we should not be denying the consumers genuine products from people who have many years of experience in research and development and design and so on. They can as well design other things. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
The case, the recent case I shared with you of Adidas losing, that case where it was challenging a garment manufacturer for using the 3 stripes. You agree with that decision? Why do you think Adidas lost? Because the court was saying that, look, anybody is free to use these 3 stripes. But Adidas is saying, look, I have registered, I've had this for the last 70 years.
It's going to set a very interesting precedent. I believe moving forward, we may start seeing most of these famous brands, famous trademarks being affected by it. But if you're just to look at the law itself, that's where the issue of classes come in.
Do you lose your protection as a trademark if all the components of your trademark don't appear on the product? Because there are some products only with Adidas and this, without the stripes.
If you just register the stripes, they would stand. If you say, for me, mine will be a combination of stripes. You know, most people used to think that Adidas was only restricted to black and white. But now we have seen it.
Blue and other colors.
It's in so many colors. At the point of registration, if you restrict yourself to stripes and a color, then you have to stick to that combination. But if you just say stripes, then the stripes can come in any color. If you just say the word, I've also registered it, the stripes, then it's up to you. You can combine them, you can use one at a time. So it depends how you fill in that application.
The other question, Sheila, is a lot of brands, the original registration will be this Adidas. Okay, this is a 1940s registration. But along the way, they keep bringing new product lines and ranges. For example, Adidas has Adidas Runner. I think it's for athletes.
Okay.
So you have Adidas and something extra. Like, I'm sure this is an addition, Light Motion. These variations to the original trademark, do they also have to be registered?
Once you register and you have conformed to the renewal process, like it hasn't expired, generally you have met the requirements, then now you come up with a new thing like light
a variation,
motion,
an addition.
a variation.
A modification.
Yes. And you also register it. That doesn't deter you from combining.
I am sure there must be a procedure to allow you to get the if you like, an amendment or an addition to the product. Now, there is somebody who is in the business community watching you now. You've just been explaining using Adidas. Can you make a pitch for them why it is important for them to trademark their products and how it will help them to grow their businesses? Because they might be thinking, but you're talking about Muzungu company, Adidas. For us, we are SMEs, we are small. Maybe those things don't apply to us. Why is this so important to register? What are the benefits for trademark registration?
To our manufacturers, our business community, one, why it's important to register a trademark or even any other IP right you may have across is because under the laws of Uganda, once you register a trademark, you enjoy certain rights, exclusive rights, which only you can enjoy unless you authorize other people to use them. And what is this? So it will give you some time to reap on that research, advertisement, all these things you have done to build your brand. So it will increase innovation. It will increase an industrial spirit in the sense that if manufacturers register their brand or trademark, and it's doing so well, and they are reaping the benefits of their investment. So it's so different from one who has not registered their brand, and if one person infringes on
somebody will steal it.
Yes, you have
copy your product and produce and outcompete you.
Exactly. But once it's registered, at least you have locus to go to court, challenge, and there are all these other government bodies, URSB, with an enforcement unit that you can go for redress, police, that can assist in challenging these infringers or people dealing in counterfeits, especially with regards to your product, vis-a-vis one who hasn't registered this right, who is at the mercy of, it will just be my word against the other. But with registration, you have something on record, and with the protection of the law. So I believe it's
critical.
Yes,
for
very
the
critical.
manufacturers. I hope they have heard you
Yes.
loud and clear.
Yes.
Your message as we conclude to the consumers, because we the consumers are the solution and the problem at the same time.
To the consumers, it's very sad that all of us, either manufacturer or anyone, you'll have to consume at some point. So to the consumers, we really have to be deliberate about this action of this campaign against counterfeits. Because if we don't purchase these products, then they will be weeded out. Whoever is investing in them will end up losing. But if we continue to nourish this vice, then it's at our own loss. Why? When you come to medicines, they become ineffective. They can cause adverse effects to body organs. When it comes to cosmetics, many women have testified very adverse effects. Helmets, in my study I've come across all these helmets. For some reason they are not doing what they should do. But at the end of the day, as a consumer, you are the one who has all the negative effects for counterfeits. So with that, we have to make a difference by going ahead, educating ourselves, aligning ourselves to genuine products, regardless of whether we afford them or not.
But they say cheap things are expensive.
In the long run,
so
that's
we can
so
afford
true.
to stay alive by consuming genuine.
Exactly.
Lastly,
Yes.
because you are in the academic world, a master's student at Africa University, we also have counterfeits in education. There are even some fake universities, fake degrees, fake lecturers, fake. Can you make a pitch for Africa University? Why should we choose Africa University next time round? We're looking for university.
Africa University, a university that is not only does it give you a wealth of knowledge, but it increases your network across Africa, and it has top-notch tutors from around the world, and more so, who doesn't want to be in a beautiful country? I wish one of these days you should go to Zimbabwe. That's the problem with Africa.
We are taking our kids to the UK, to Australia, to
Exactly.
China. You're campaigning that we study in Africa.
Yes, because one thing I loved about that, I've never felt more African in my life than when I was at, in the campus of Africa University, because they know how to preach it. All these innovations, inventions, they keep passing on the message of Africans, we can do it. we can do it. We don't have to sit back, lament. So we have great universities in Africa. It's just a mindset change to come back home and utilize the good things that we have. Yeah,
You've been a good ambassador. Very good ambassador for Africa University. Very good campaigner for the fight against counterfeits. We hope when you go back to Africa University in Zimbabwe, you will continue spreading the gospel. That has been Sheila Ampiri Rwamafa, a master's student studying at the Africa University. She's majoring in intellectual property. She's here in Kampala to do research about enforcement of the laws and regulations against trademark infringement in the manufacturing sector. We are pleased to have been part of your research and interview. We have shared what we know about the issue, and we hope that it will contribute to the stock of knowledge, Sheila, at this great university.
Yes.
And we hope overall it is a tremendous shot in the arm for the fight against counterfeits in Africa by Africans. As always, we thank you for being a good audience. If you like what you see, what you're hearing, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, and don't forget to put the notification to be reminded every time there is a new program. As always, don't be fake, buy and sell genuine.